Here's a polynomial equation that might look intimidating at first glance. Can you tell how many real solutions this equation has just by looking at it? Most students would say they have no idea. But what if I told you there's actually a simple rule that can help you figure this out immediately? Today, we're going to learn about one of the most fundamental relationships in algebra: how the degree of a polynomial determines the maximum number of real roots it can have. This is a crucial concept that will help you understand polynomial behavior and solve equations more effectively. Here's how this works in practice. A degree 2 polynomial, like x squared minus 4 equals 0, can have at most 2 real roots. A degree 3 polynomial, like x cubed plus 2x minus 1 equals 0, can have at most 3 real roots. Here's a common mistake that many students make. They think that a degree 4 polynomial must have exactly 4 real roots. This is incorrect. The degree tells us the maximum number of real roots, not the exact number. A degree 4 polynomial could have 4 real roots, 2 real roots, or even 0 real roots, depending on the specific equation. The key takeaway is this: the degree of a polynomial tells us the maximum number of real roots it can have, not the exact number. Understanding this fundamental relationship will help you analyze polynomial equations more effectively and avoid common mistakes. Before we can understand how many real roots a polynomial can have, we need to establish exactly what polynomials and roots are. These fundamental concepts form the foundation for everything we'll explore. A polynomial is a mathematical expression that consists of variables and coefficients. The key restriction is that polynomials can only use 4 specific operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and non-negative integer exponents. Now let's build a polynomial step by step. We'll start with individual terms and combine them. Each term consists of a coefficient multiplied by a variable raised to a non-negative integer power. Now we can combine all these terms into a complete polynomial. This gives us our example polynomial. F of x equals 5x to the 4th power minus 7x cubed plus 5x squared minus 6x plus 1. The degree of a polynomial is the highest power of the variable that appears in the expression. In our example, the highest power is 4, so this is a 4th degree polynomial. Now let's define what a root or solution means. A root of a polynomial equation is any value that, when substituted for the variable, makes the entire polynomial equal to 0. For example, if r is a root of our polynomial, then when we substitute r for x, we get f of r equals 0. This means 5r to the 4th minus 7r cubed plus 5r squared minus 6r plus 1 equals 0. This polynomial equation might have several roots. Some could be real numbers like 2 or -3, while others might be complex numbers. The total number of roots, including complex ones, will always equal the degree of the polynomial. Now we come to one of the most important theorems in all of algebra. The Fundamental Theorem of Algebra is a cornerstone result that tells us exactly how many roots every polynomial has. Here is the theorem stated precisely. A polynomial of degree n has exactly n complex roots, counted with multiplicity. This might seem simple, but it contains several important concepts we need to unpack. First, what do we mean by complex roots? Complex numbers include both real numbers and imaginary numbers. Let me show you this visually. The complex plane has 2 axes. The horizontal axis represents real numbers. These are the numbers we're most familiar with, like 2, -3, or pi. The vertical axis represents imaginary numbers. These involve the imaginary unit I, which equals the square root of -1. Examples include 2i, -i, or 3i. A real number like 3 appears on the real axis. A purely imaginary number like 2i appears on the imaginary axis. A general complex number like 1.5 plus I has both real and imaginary parts. Now let's understand what we mean by multiplicity. Multiplicity refers to how many times a particular root appears. A root can be repeated. Consider this polynomial. F of x equals x minus 2 to the 3rd power times x plus 1 squared. This is a degree 5 polynomial. The root x equals 2 appears 3 times, so it has multiplicity 3. The root x equals -1 appears twice, so it has multiplicity 2. When we count with multiplicity, we get 3 plus 2 equals 5 total roots, which matches the degree. Here's a crucial point. In this example, all 5 roots happen to be real numbers. But the fundamental theorem doesn't tell us how many will be real versus complex. To summarize the fundamental theorem of algebra, every polynomial of degree n has exactly n complex roots when we count multiplicity. These roots can be real or imaginary. The theorem guarantees the total count, but doesn't specify how many will be real numbers. Now we arrive at one of the most important rules about polynomial roots. The maximum number of real roots that any polynomial can have is exactly equal to its degree. Let's see this rule in action. First, consider a linear polynomial of degree 1. A linear equation like f of x equals 2x minus 4 has exactly one real root. When we graph this linear function, we see it crosses the x-axis at exactly one point. This intersection point is our real root. Notice that degree 1 gives us exactly one real root. The maximum is achieved in this case. Next, let's examine a quadratic polynomial of degree 2. Consider f of x equals x squared minus 3x plus 2. This quadratic function has a parabolic graph that opens upward. It crosses the x-axis at two distinct points, giving us two real roots. Here we see degree 2 giving us two real roots. Again, the maximum is achieved. Now for a cubic polynomial of degree 3. Consider f of x equals x cubed minus 6x squared plus 11x minus 6. This cubic function has the characteristic S-shaped curve. It crosses the x-axis at 3 points, giving us three real roots. Perfect. Degree 3 gives us three real roots. Once again, the maximum is achieved. Now here's the crucial point. Notice I keep saying maximum. A polynomial can have fewer real roots than its degree, but it can never have more. For example, the quadratic x squared plus 1 has degree 2, but it has 0 real roots because it never crosses the x-axis. Remember this fundamental rule. The degree of a polynomial sets the upper limit for real roots. You can have fewer, but never more. This is a cornerstone concept that will help you analyze any polynomial you encounter. Now we encounter one of the most elegant and important theorems in polynomial algebra, the complex conjugate root theorem. This theorem explains a fundamental pattern that occurs when polynomials have complex roots. The complex conjugate root theorem states that if a polynomial has real coefficients, then its complex roots must occur in conjugate pairs. This is a powerful constraint that helps us understand the structure of polynomial roots. Before we dive into the theorem, we need to understand what complex conjugates are. Complex conjugates are pairs of complex numbers that have the same real part but opposite imaginary parts. For example, a plus bi and a minus bi are complex conjugates. For instance, 2 plus 3i and 2 minus 3i are complex conjugates. They both have a real part of 2, but their imaginary parts are 3i and negative 3i, respectively. This theorem is crucial for several reasons. First, it tells us that complex roots always come in pairs for polynomials with real coefficients. Second, it explains why some polynomials have fewer real roots than their degree suggests. Finally, it helps us predict the structure of polynomial solutions before we even solve them. Now let's work through a concrete example to see the complex conjugate root theorem in action. Consider the equation x squared plus 1 equals 0. This is a quadratic equation with real coefficients. Step 1. We isolate x squared by subtracting 1 from both sides. This gives us x squared equals negative 1. Step 2. We take the square root of both sides. This gives us x equals plus or minus the square root of negative 1. Step 3. Since the square root of negative 1 is defined as I, we can write our solutions as x equals plus I or x equals minus I. So our two roots are x equals 0 plus 1i and x equals 0 minus 1i. Notice that these are indeed complex conjugates. They have the same real part, which is 0, and opposite imaginary parts, positive I and negative I. Here's the key insight. This quadratic equation has degree 2, but it has 0 real roots. Both of its roots are complex numbers that form a conjugate pair. This perfectly demonstrates how the complex conjugate root theorem explains why polynomials can have fewer real roots than their degree. This example perfectly demonstrates the complex conjugate root theorem in action. Our polynomial x squared plus 1 has real coefficients, and its complex roots do indeed occur in conjugate pairs. This theorem explains why we have 0 real roots instead of the maximum possible 2 real roots for a degree 2 polynomial. Now we'll explore a fascinating pattern that emerges when we compare odd degree and even degree polynomials. This distinction reveals important guarantees about the existence of real roots. Here's the key insight. Odd degree polynomials must always have at least one real root, while even degree polynomials may have no real roots at all. Let's examine our first example, f of x equals x cubed plus 1. This is a cubic polynomial with degree 3, which is odd. Let's graph this function to see where it intersects the x-axis. Remember, x-intercepts correspond to real roots. As we draw the curve, notice how it starts from the bottom left, rises steeply, and continues upward to the top right. This is characteristic behavior of odd-degree polynomials. The graph crosses the x-axis at exactly one point, x equals -1. We can verify this by substituting -1 cubed plus 1 equals -1 plus 1, which equals 0. Now let's contrast this with an even degree polynomial to see the difference. Our second example is g of x equals x squared plus 1. This is a quadratic polynomial with degree 2, which is even. Let's graph this quadratic function and observe its behavior. Notice that this parabola opens upward and has its vertex at the point 0, 1. Crucially, the entire curve lies above the x-axis. This graph never touches or crosses the x-axis, meaning there are no real roots. If we try to solve x squared plus 1 equals 0, we get x squared equals -1, which has no real solutions. This fundamental difference between odd and even degree polynomials is crucial for understanding polynomial behavior. Odd degree polynomials must cross the x-axis at least once, guaranteeing at least one real root. Even degree polynomials have no such guarantee and may have 0 real roots. Remember, this pattern extends to all polynomial degrees. Any polynomial with an odd degree will always have at least one real root, while polynomials with even degrees may or may not have real roots. Now we'll work through 2 example problems to apply what we've learned about the maximum number of real roots. Our first problem asks us to find the maximum number of real roots for a specific polynomial. The polynomial is f of x equals x to the 5th power minus x minus 16. Let me write this clearly so we can analyze it step by step. To find the maximum number of real roots, we need to identify the degree of this polynomial. The degree is the highest power of x that appears in the polynomial. The highest power term is x to the 5th power, so this polynomial has degree 5. This is the key information we need. Now, we can apply the fundamental principle. The maximum number of real roots of any polynomial equals its degree. Since our polynomial has degree 5, it can have at most 5 real roots. Therefore, the polynomial f of x equals x to the 5th minus x minus 16 can have at most 5 real roots. It might have fewer real roots, but it cannot have more than 5. Now let's move to our second problem, which will show us a different scenario where we can identify the exact real roots of a polynomial. Our second problem presents a polynomial in factored form. This will allow us to directly identify all the real roots and verify our understanding of the relationship between degree and maximum real roots. The polynomial is written as the product of 3 factors, x minus 1 times x minus 2 times x minus 3. This factored form gives us valuable information about the roots. First, let's determine the degree of this polynomial. Even though it's in factored form, we can count the factors to find the degree. We have three linear factors, each contributing degree 1. When we multiply them together, the total degree is 1 plus 1 plus 1, which equals 3. Now let's find the actual real roots. When a polynomial is in factored form, the roots are the values of x that make each factor equal to 0. For the first factor, x minus 1 equals 0 when x equals 1. For the second factor, x minus 2 equals 0 when x equals 2. For the third factor, x minus 3 equals 0 when x equals 3. Therefore, this polynomial has exactly three distinct real roots, 1, 2, and 3. Notice that the number of real roots equals the degree of the polynomial, which is the maximum possible. This example demonstrates an important point. While a polynomial can have at most as many real roots as its degree, it can achieve this maximum. In this case, our degree 3 polynomial has exactly 3 real roots, reaching the theoretical maximum. These two problems illustrate the key principle we've been studying. The degree of a polynomial determines the maximum number of real roots it can have. Sometimes a polynomial achieves this maximum, as in our second example, and sometimes it may have fewer real roots than its degree allows. Now that we've explored polynomial roots in depth, it's time to consolidate what we've learned and see how these concepts connect to form a complete understanding. Our first key takeaway is fundamental. The degree of a polynomial always sets the upper limit on the number of real roots it can have. A fifth-degree polynomial like this one can have at most 5 real roots, but it could have fewer. The Fundamental Theorem of Algebra guarantees that every polynomial of degree n has exactly n complex roots when we count multiplicity. This is the foundation that makes everything else possible. The complex conjugate root theorem tells us that complex roots come in pairs for polynomials with real coefficients. This pairing helps us understand why some polynomials have fewer real roots than their degree suggests. For those ready to dive deeper, Descartes' rule of signs provides a powerful tool to determine the possible number of positive and negative real roots by examining sign changes in the polynomial's coefficients. For example, this cubic polynomial has 3 sign changes in its coefficients, which means it can have at most 3 positive real roots. This gives us much more specific information than just knowing the degree. Here's your complete toolkit for understanding polynomial roots. These concepts work together to give you both the big picture and the specific tools you need to analyze any polynomial you encounter. If this video helped clarify polynomial roots for you, please give it a like and let me know in the comments what other mathematical topics you'd like to explore. Your questions and suggestions help me create content that truly serves your learning needs. There are so many fascinating connections to explore from here, whether it's advanced factoring techniques, the rational root theorem, or graphing polynomial functions. Each topic builds on what we've learned today. Subscribe to join me on this mathematical journey, and remember, every expert was once a beginner who never gave up.